Please rise as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody, to this snowy evening of February 18th and our Rochester City Council meeting. We begin each council meeting with our open comment period. This is an opportunity for anyone from the public to speak on items that we will not be taking public testimony during a public hearing later in the agenda. Each person has up to 2 minutes to speak for a total of 20 minutes. I'll be keeping time through two methods. One, the stoplight here, and the red digital clock to my left. I'd request each speaker to be concise to allow for more people to speak during the designated time. Participants are further encouraged to limit comments to topics that are within the scope and jurisdiction of the City Council's ability to affect policy. Council members and staff do not respond to your comments during public comment, but will instead follow up on any specific requests separately. If you have materials to share with the council, please give them to the city clerk, who is to my right, to distribute, and you will be invited up in the order in which you signed up. We will start with Linda Parker.
Good evening, Commission. Glad to be here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I recently listened to the mayor address a couple of newly appointed committee members that once you hold an official title, you're no longer speaking as a single group. You're representing the entire community. When you're using your official position in your comments to promote personal beliefs or partisan viewpoints, it creates a false impression that those views reflect the will of the whole community. Your responsibility is to make decisions based on what is best for all citizens, not one segment, political group, or preferred constituency. By not doing so, you violate your oath of office and the ethics expected, and you should and will potentially be removed from office. It's what she told us. At the most recent council meeting, the last one, the decision to knowingly align with a broader partisan platform and pursue legal action against the federal government, specifically in efforts aimed at abolishing immigration enforcement, violates your authority. It is not a violation of humanity for immigration enforcement. It's a sovereign function of national security and public safety. When local leaders support the effort to dismantle enforcement entirely while remaining silent about crimes committed against citizens, it's a violation of public trust and the duty of their office. You all are basically saying you speak for all of us in the city of Rochester. I am a resident of the city of Rochester, and you did not speak for me, but you chose as if you did. And I find that unacceptable. It's also my understanding that the city of Rochester may be funding services at legal representation, special education options, housing, utilities, food, transportations for individuals who are not legal citizens, and also encouraging the harboring of many who have broken our laws. I'm not getting that assistance. I'm not getting legal representation. I'm not getting my bills paid. I'm not getting any extra support. So again, you're not representing all of the citizens.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Next up, we have Myron Rosted.
Hi, City Council. My name is Myron Rosted. I am a resident at 821 26th Street Southeast, Rochester, Minnesota. I am here tonight because on March 23rd last year at 11 o'clock, I was woken by a neighbor to go check my basement, in which she said she had water in hers. I got a split level home, I checked my basement, and I had the entire basement flooded. And it got flooded because of a sewer line, which got ruptured by a water main in the street by my house. I did everything in which I was given a sheet of paper by stating, call your insurance company, which I did. I called them that night and we got a claim number and stuff. Documented all the damages and stuff. I had a service cleaner come in. I was able to get one that day, come in, He evaluated the situation, read the situation, and told me everything. Sheetrock had to be cut. All the doors had to be taken out because he says, if you don't do this, you will not be able to sell it because of the damages. So I had to have all that done. Everything that was accounted for, after I got everything done, it's like I have roughly $58,000 in my basement. And when I go to try to submit all this, nobody would ever. I called the number on the sheet that said, we give you a helping hand, everything, let us know. Nobody would return my calls. I reached out to my insurance agent, and she tried to get some answers. She got answers that was, they're not going to pay anything on the claim and close the claim because it was an act of God. Now, I don't see how a water main and that, which is considered infrastructure of the city, can be considered an act of God when a mechanical function breaks, causing me hardship on all this. I just ask the representatives to look me straight in the eye and tell me that it's justifiable that I got to accept that it was an act of God and eat the billing. I have documentation of all the work that I've had done, the cleaning bill. The cleaning bill alone ran me close to $19,000. And then, like I say, replacing of the sheetrock. I had a bathroom that wasn't even a year old yet that I had totally redone. I had to have that redone for $12,000.
Thank you, Mr. Rosted.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Adam Busby.
Good evening. It's been a while. It's good to see y'all again. My name's Adam Busby, representative for the ATU 1005. I've been coming here since about November of 2024, talking about the union busting tactics of TransDev. And since that time, we've went through several manager changes, and yet the action continues. The harsh discipline, you name it, it all falls right in line with union busting. Some point, the city has to do something or it becomes complicit. And got a nice group here with us today. And as you can see, the temperature has not been lowered with labor. It's only heating up. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have other speakers that? Oh, Ryan Timlin?
Hello, my name is Ryan Timlin. I used to be the president of Amalgamated Transit Union Local 1005. I've been very involved in the contracts over the years, and I've been pulled into negotiations for the history of this current contract. And one thing I have to state, it is pretty shocking to watch and hear what I've discovered has been going on down here with TransDev. When I was president, I don't ever remember anybody ever being suspended, and I don't remember anybody ever being suspended without an investigation being finished before a suspension happened. You have 14 operators now suspended, no complete investigations. Our suspensions have happened without an investigation being completed. And one of the most shocking things is the last suspension that just happened, 14-year employee with no disciplinary record, no investigation completed, and a 3-day suspension. That is a morale issue that you guys have to address and needs to be dealt with. They're creating a hostile work environment, and I don't have to speak much more. Busby explained it pretty well, what's going on. But I think if you want people to show up to work, you should treat them with respect, the company that operates the transit agency.
Thank you. Emma Smith?
Good evening. My name is Emma. I'm a member of Workers Strike Back, and I've lived and worked in Rochester for almost 10 years. I'm using my allotted 2 minutes per month here to join our bus drivers in solidarity as they work through contract negotiations with TransDev. We understand that the city and TransDev have a contract renewal up for review, and we do not consent to the city of Rochester aligning with exploiters of the working class, and we demand this contract not be renewed unless all worker demands are met. This morning, I got to hear a dozen speakers at our state capitol from all different backgrounds, connecting the multitude of issues we are facing as a state to corporate greed. From the threat to our boundary waters, to violent ICE agent presence, to the absurd amount of data center projects being proposed and rising energy bills, to the very companies you choose to work with in our city. TransDev has displayed union-busting behaviors and proven consistently that they will choose profit over people. You could hear more about this from many others, but their jobs would be at risk just from speaking out. We don't want your weak apologies. We want you to act like Rochester is a city that takes care of its workers who can all have fulfilling lives. We want the Democrats and Republicans on this council to use their seats and voices to advocate for the workers of Rochester who make life possible. Siding with corporations is largely unpopular and loathed by residents all across our state. We reference Kshama Sawant and her run for Congress frequently because she is leading the way for the working class. Her record of victories with Seattle workers while on city council have shown the rest of us what it takes to truly value labor and take care of the folks who are providing it. And to everyone listening, we are stronger together. You can join our fight at workersstrikeback.org. Solidarity.
Thank you. Toby Holiday.
With a D.
Yep.
Thank you. Hi, council members. I'm Toby, resident of Rochester and fellow member of Workers Strike Back. I'm here in solidarity with ATU Local 1005 and their active fight for a fair contract. Last month, union members voted unanimously to reject TransDev's last best final offer, and they also voted unanimously to authorize a strike if negotiations fail. And just yesterday, 95% of members voted no on TransDev's insulting second, final, and best offer. This is not a small dispute. This is a workforce sending a clear message that TransDev is failing its workers and, by extension, failing our city. This should come as no surprise, as the Democrats and Republicans on this city council would rather outsource drivers to a known union-busting company, on top of nickel and diming working and poor people with austerity budgets at the city and state level. TransDev ignores progressive discipline. Instead of following the steps outlined in their own contract, they jump straight to suspensions. 13 workers have been suspended recently, including 2 after the strike authorization vote. The result is staffing shortages, dropped routes, stranded riders, and a system that becomes less reliable by the day. Workers are also demanding basic respect with a fair grievance procedure to address harassment, safety issues, and policy violations. They're asking for affordable health care, wage increases, and basic dignity. Public transportation is a public good and should be publicly owned and free for all. We demand that the Democrats and Republicans stand up to TransDev and big business and potentially cut ties with TransDev unless the workers' demands are met in full. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Rick Labor.
My name is Rick Labor, of course. Thank you for hearing me tonight. I just want to say a few things. The city of Rochester runs the fire department. They run the police department. They run Park and Rec. They run the maintenance department themselves. They own all of the transportation, but yet you lease it out to somebody else. I don't have records to this, but I would like, we had a manager, Tabitha and Ken. I would like you to look up a week's worth of their ridership and look up TransDev's ridership right now. I would just like somebody that cares half as much as I do. Oh, excuse me, there is one person over here. Rachel does care. I've actually sat down and talked with her. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Next up, we have Molly Dennis.
Thank you for your time. I am actually not going to speak on this issue, but I want to say I echo every single thing that has been said. I stand with the Workers Strike Back and ATU with their cause. So thank you for all of that. I think we need more residents, more people speaking up, coming to these meetings. I know that many meetings last year, it was crickets here. There wasn't anyone who spoke, for many reasons. I have experience. I've, have served on the dais. I've been very transparent. I think it's important that residents know where their taxpayer dollars are being spent, and that includes where the council members spend their hours. I have asked repeatedly to have council members share their office hours. I've asked questions that have gone unanswered. The city council makes just shy of $56,000 a year. The president just shy of $65,000, and the mayor close to $84,000. If you calculate that by the number of hours I've been watching and observing you doing work here on the council, it averages between $107 to $220 an hour. Many people here do not make $220 an hour. There's many weaknesses, but challenges, but strengths of autism and ADHD is not only resilience and a strong moral compass, but it also is hyper-focus and pattern recognition. And I pay close attention to who shows up, with the exception of perhaps Councilmember Miller and Councilmember Keene. I do not see any of you at these events and community activist things going on. And I feel so strongly that you need to have listening sessions, you need to have office hours, you need to be available, answer questions. And I know just a couple days ago, the Ward 6 council member, who I am a resident of Ward 6.
Thank you, Ms. Dennis. Thank you.
A town hall,
Thank
but
you.
has canceled all of his other
Thank
listening
you,
sessions.
Ms. Dennis. Thank you. That closes our public comment period, and we will move on to Clerk Queso. Please call the roll.
Good evening. Councilmember Keene.
Here.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Wall.
Here.
Councilmember Fredericks.
Here.
Councilmember Palmer.
Here.
Councilmember Doring is absent. Council President Schubring.
Here.
Mayor Norton is absent.
Thank you. Next up, we have the City Administrator's Report. Administrator Zelms, take it away.
Thank you, Council President, council members, members of the public. I always start the report by thanking our teammates for acting with respect, integrity, safety, and excellence in mind as they go about their work each day. Did just want to acknowledge our teammates in parks, forestry, maintenance, facilities, the public works crews, and our transit operations group. They are actively working towards coming together in a facility up north of town. And they joined together today to celebrate a milestone and as we move forward with building out the maintenance facility up north. So just want to make some special recognition of that group of people today. There was weather today during that, and I appreciated that we have them working for us. So did also want to let folks know that in honor of Black History Month, we will be hosting in the Rotunda of City Hall the traveling legacy kiosks. There are additional kiosks this year. There will be special recognition on February 24th between 11 a.m. and noon, but the exhibit will be in City Hall through the week next week. So something for people to stop by and enjoy if that is something that they're interested in. Also, if you have been on College View Drive at all near Olmsted Medical or RCTC, you have seen some very large vehicles. There will be a block-by-block closure this Friday as that equipment moves to its final location at the Prospect Utility Plant near Central Park. So be looking for that. There will be impacts on Friday, February 20th and Saturday, February 21st from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. So if you're out late, that is a time where you may be impacted by those moving. If you've seen them, it's going to be quite an operation to get those into some tight spaces downtown. You can follow us on rochestermn.gov for impacted areas, and our dispatch center will be aware. Also upcoming on February 21st from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m., Family Game Time is available at the History Center of Olmsted County. It's a free event. It is a morning of games and puzzles. That location there is 1195 West Circle Drive. So if you haven't experienced the History Center before, that's an opportunity for you coming up. And I did just want to address that on February 11th, our transit system did experience a pretty significant impact. 40% of the fixed route drivers called in, and there were a total of 37 trips that were missed. So we do operate a transit system, and we do prioritize that for people who are getting to work. Many of our residents are really reliant on that system being reliable in order to get where they're going. There is a federal mediator that has been requested, and TransDev is under contract with a driving company to utilize so that we can make sure that we have efficient, reliable service for those that rely on the transit system in order to get through the city, whether that's an appointment that they need to be at or whether they need to get to work. There was an all-day negotiation that happened on February 13th, and as noted, there was a contract vote that happened on February 17th. The contract did not pass, but is still valid as long as negotiations are occurring. And Rochester Public Transit is consistently communicating with MnDOT, TransDev, and the ATU. And I just want to highlight that the transit system is critical for many people across the city, and it's really important that it remains reliable in order to be able to provide those services to the community members that rely on it at a low cost. The Center Street ramp also has been a little bit of a challenge to access for a while, only mostly for contract parkers, but we are going to be in the final phase of restoration work for the Center Street ramp. That's starting March 23rd. It will run through early August, and there will be a full closure of the Center Street ramp during that time. The recommended alternative is the First Street ramp that's located at 13 2nd Street Southeast. RochesterMN.gov/parking is where you can see all of the parking opportunities downtown. And the last thing I wanted to highlight is there is another free event that's happening on Tuesdays through April at the Historic Chateau Theater, 11 a.m. to 1:30. There is a free brown bag lunch to stop by, bring takeout or pack your own lunch, and join with folks to meet up and maybe meet somebody new in the community and enjoy some good company. And that is all I have this evening.
Thank you. Next up, we have one item on the mayor's report. Please join us on Tuesday, March 3rd, which is my birthday, not for a birthday party, but for a town hall regarding advanced policing technology. It'll be held at the Heinz Center from 6 to 7:30. And Mayor Norton, in partnership with the Rochester Police Department, will host a public conversation on the use of advanced technology in policing. Town hall topics will include drones and camera technologies, featuring presentations, live demonstrations, and opportunities for audience questions. The town hall is free and open to the public, so hope you can join us. Next up, we have the order of the agenda. Are there any changes to our agenda tonight? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Fredericks and seconded by Councilmember Wall. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to our consent agenda, Councilmember Wall is pulling item F12. Are there any others? Seeing none, I'd invite a motion to approve in block items F1 through F11 and F13 through F21. Moved by Councilmember Fredericks.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes. Moving on to our public hearings. We have two public hearings on our agenda this evening. And a couple moments to clarify the public hearing process. First, staff will present the item, and then if there is an applicant or applicant representative, they will have up to 10 minutes to discuss the item. After that, I will open the public hearing. Members of the public have 5 minutes each to give comments on the item. And like the open comment period, and I encourage you to be concise and address issues regarding the item. After that, I will close the public hearing and invite the applicant to address any concerns, issues that come up during the public hearing for up to 5 minutes. After that, I'll invite my colleagues to ask questions of either staff or the applicant, and then we will take a motion on the item. With that, I will move to item G1, which is a conditional use permit by ML Group 1 LLC. Mr. Elliot Mueller.
Yep. Good evening, Council President, members of the Council. Elliot Mueller with Rochester Community Development. So tonight, the applicant, ML Group I or L LLC, requests approval of conditional use permit CD 2025-007 CUP for the placement of excavated fill within the 100-year flood-prone subdistrict and compensatory stormwater storage area improvement for the future development of a multifamily housing project. The site is located at the southeast corner of Country Club Road West and 45th Avenue Southwest. This application is related solely to the excavation of the fill and the placement within the flood-prone subdistrict and not any specific development project. I just want to make that clear. Approval of this conditional use permit doesn't equate to support for the overall development that's being proposed afterwards. On January 6, 2025, the Common Council adopted a resolution determining that the associated environmental assessment worksheet was sufficient and that an environmental impact statement or further review wasn't warranted. So the floodplain development permit that we have reviewed is intended to ensure that all development in the floodplain complies with all applicable federal, state, and local ordinances that are designed to reduce the risk of damage due to flooding. To be approved, the applicant must demonstrate a couple of things that we review. So the first is whether or not the design that they have is adequate to provide drainage to reduce exposure to flood hazards, is designed in a way that is not detrimental to uses in adjoining areas, and then it's designed to maintain the existing floodplain capacity. The applicant has worked closely with city teammates and county staff to provide adequate compensatory storage, calculations, and preliminary grading and stormwater plans to aid in our review of their work. And then tonight, the development review team recommends approval of the CUP with 3 conditions, and the Planning Commission is recommending the same. So with that, I'll stand for any questions, and I know our Public Works teammates and Community Development teammates are here, and the applicants in the stands.
Thank you, Mr. Mueller. Is the applicant here? And Mr. Toyton, if you can step forward, and you have 10 minutes.
Thank you, President Schumer, members of the council. I'm Bill Toynton with WC Engineering. On the line is Joe Wall from Bar Engineering, who has done the heavy lifting on the hydrology of this, has signed a memorandum indicating the no rise from our work of excavating and filling the area. So for every cubic yard we want to fill to raise our site to the 100-year, we have to dig out 100 cubic yard of area to store water. So that has been done. It's had several reviews by City Public Works. They have accepted, as you'll see in your packet, our work and our technical memorandum of the team. Also with me is Dan Fitzpatrick, the project manager, and then Ryan Schoenfelter is also an engineer. So the conditional use permit is just to allow us to fill. It doesn't allow us any building permits. It doesn't give us any final plats. We have prepared a mass grading plan, has been submitted to City Public Works for 1 round of reviews. We're going to send it back in for a 2nd round review. We'll have to do a grading plan, letter map revision to FEMA, preliminary and final plats, final traffic study, and basically a site plan approval on lot by lot as it goes along. So we've done a lot of work on this over several months, and our team is adamant that this is going to work as planned. So we'd ask for the council approval based on staff approval, City Public Works acceptance of our plan, Planning Commission approval, and the determination that there's been no negative impacts to the site proves from this project. So have any questions? There may be something you need more technical from Mr. Wall. You'll have to, I don't know how the technology works here, but you have to connect up with him.
Thank you, Will.
We are agreeing to the 3 conditions, so just so everybody knows.
Sounds good. We'll call you, thank you for you and your team, and we'll call you back up after the public hearing to address any issues that come up. With that, I will open the public hearing and invite Matt Puffer to step forward, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Council President. Sorry about my voice. These things happen in the wintertime. So I thought I had distributed this packet. And I'd like to just go through it quickly because time is short. On the first page, this page, you'll see the entire floodplain in this section. Nature has created it very nicely, and our Meadow Lakes Homeowners Association on the bottom section, the southern border, is right along the edge of the floodplain. So it works really well right now as a natural body. We had a flood in 2019, and actually a 140-year flood. And we had waters lapping up under our property, but no wet basements or no wet lower level floors. So we know it works as it is now. You can also see from this map that this development, proposed development, takes up a significant amount of this floodplain and changes it. And so we go from something that we know that works into something that we've calculated, assumed, and we maybe monitor construction. And then it's also dependent on maintenance for it to continue to work as designed. I'll go on to the next couple pages, which are pulled out of your agenda packet, pages 236 and 237 if you don't have them. And note that there are, for brevity's sake, 3 different situations in their current design that city planning, I presume engineering staff, have said don't meet the design requirements. So I'm a little surprised to hear tonight that everything is okay and has been approved. There's the specific construct of a stormwater infiltration basin, and the notes say that that those are designed to be too deep according to design standards. There are the floodwater compensatory storage capacity ponds, and we'll look at these on the map in just a minute, which are also designed too deep, and so their volume indications are not correct because the bottom of these are listed at an elevation of 1,016, and the nearby creek normal water levels are 1,021 to 1,023. So that bottom 5 to 7 feet is going to be filled with water all the time because that's what happens with water tables. The third thing is there are waters that come onto this site from under County 34 and 45th Avenue. And those waters typically flow across the entire site in a waterway or a wetlands and are deposited in the creek 2/3 of the way down the floodplain. But as a late step, as they prepare the building site for buildings, they will alter that water flow and send it straight south into the very upstream portion of the Cascade Creek, which sends an increased volume of water, increasing the water speed in the now restored Cascade Creek, increasing the risk of erosion and worsening the water quality, which is what DNR did a nice job of improving. Finally, you'll notice that there is a design. If you go to this 4th page, this map, you'll notice that there is a entrance from their roadway system onto County 34. And I've not seen anything written about the success of applying for that access permit. My sources suggest that that has not yet been achieved. So this stepwise process, conditional use permit, it's only a first step and all these other things need to be done. But one of the very first steps is moving dirt around. And once that dirt is pulled out of the ground and piled up in another place, you've changed nature's fully functional floodplain, and it won't be undone. And these subsequent things that need to be solved as part of this iterative process may be deal breakers, if you will, for this whole project. And I don't see why we would allow this mass grading plan to be considered or even or even activated when we haven't solved all the problems yet to know that the project is actually doable. So I think I'm done with my time, but and my voice is still there. I'd happy to address any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Puffer.
You're welcome.
Next up, we have Jamie Newman.
Hi, Jamie Newman. Thanks for the opportunity to. I'm just gonna keep my comments short. I'm representing myself only in this proposal. Having lived on Berkshire, I'm on the end would be least affected by this. But I have two concerns. The one we heard about is the flooding. This neighborhood, especially the eastern side near the road, is already prone to flooding, and the addition of this potential complex is going to lead to more flooding. You also looking at it in total, this new development to the west side of 45th. So it's not just this area, it's additional developments to the west of there that are going to increase the risk of flooding. It's a significant issue, and you can't just look at the single development, you have to look globally at what's happening. Additionally, I'm really concerned about traffic. With the addition of the Cascade Lake parking structure, 2,500 spots, I think is the amount. You're adding the additional developments to the west of this complex, and then this complex, there's going to be a significant increase in the traffic on that corner. It's already a dangerous corner. I can't quote the statistics on accidents there. I just drive by it all the time and keep my fingers crossed when I make that left turn off 2nd Street. And you have people who use Cascade Park cross that street, so the traffic volume is going to increase, and this just worsens the situation. So my concerns are the flooding, but also the traffic increase. So thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to be heard on this item, please step forward. This is a public hearing. Anyone else wishing to be heard on this item, please step forward. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and invite Mr. Toiten and his team back up to address any of the issues that came up during the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, I didn't hear all of them, but I understand there's some concern about the project to the west of the site, which has gone through the council approval. And they are, DNR is going to be doing a stream restoration in there to help improve the floodway situation over there. And they also have a conditional use permit to fill in the floodway. We are not filling the floodway. And the city also has, as I understand, a project that they're going to do for flood control over there. If you looked at our plan on the west side, it's 45th Avenue. And there's some culverts under 45th Avenue that are currently, I don't know, remember the size of those, but they're not going to be able to let any more water through those culverts than what it is today. That's the key thing here, is that water from the west is not coming through here. And the modeling that we've done and took a look at that as well. So that's all included in the model that Joe Wall produced at Bar Engineering, and we're really confident that our plan is correct and it's not going to flood people out downstream or on the site. Well, that's all I have to say unless there's any other questions.
Thank you. We'll call you back if council members have questions. Councilmember Palmer.
And a quick question for staff. I think I asked this last time we were talking about this project. Country Club Manor Road is a county road. My understanding in the next 2 to 3 years, it's going to be rebuilt all the way up to the top of the hill. Am I correct on that?
I can take that. President, members of the council, the county public works team is working on a project to reconstruct County CASA. It's a state aid highway, 34 all the way from the intersection of West Circle Drive out to into the Byron city limits. I would imagine it'll be a phased project where they do a couple different phases, and they are planning to have that in their capital improvement plan. I don't have the year memorized, but they do have that in their capital improvement plan.
Thank you.
Councilmember Keene.
Yeah, just for staff here again, I do worry when I look at this area, there's a lot of different projects going on. We're looking at a specific conditional use permit here, but can you talk about the timing and the interactions between when we do an approval 1 mile west of here, and there's a lot of like stormwater concerns there and they get addressed one way? Is the assumption then that they don't have any impact on this property? Or how do we like stack those up on a timeline?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Councilmember Keen. I mean, for this one in particular, I know that the Del Webb property to the west and this one, they've been more or less coordinated. But to your point, I think that our Public Works team mates do look at this at a higher level than just a parcel by parcel basis. You know, how is one project going to affect downstream flow?
I assume there's the assumption that the water in the property being developed to the west will all be retained there and will not flood with the flow of the creek. Is that the assumption, or is there slightly different, something different I should understand?
I'll take that one. Yep. So with any of these development projects, they are required to hold the stormwater flows back at levels that are meet or are less than what's the existing condition. So they cannot exceed existing condition. So that's all built into the stormwater management plan and our grading and erosion control plans. And we do look at it globally across projects, but each individual developer still needs to meet all of that criteria so that they're not adversely impacting anyone downstream.
Okay. The other thing with this specific, I'm dealing specifically with a conditional use permit that has to do with manipulation of topography and changing where the floodplain is and making these sort of changes. I've heard a lot about permitting the work. Is there some step either through DNR or the county or somewhere where somebody validates the work was done and it was done to the standard we had set out to get to?
Yeah, along with our team evaluating the design and reviewing the hydraulic modeling, the county acts as the floodplain administrator, so we work closely with them. If it involves the water of the state, the DNR gets involved, so all of those different agencies are, in this case, going to be involved in reviewing this project.
So like, if I state it differently, before we go on to seeing a general development plan for this property and our like stormwater people starting to look at it, there'll be other groups that will say, yes, what they started out to do here has been done to the level that allows them to be building in these areas.
Correct.
Okay. Last question on the same sort of thing with permits, but I just want to limit. I've heard things about, we also have a preliminary thing in. My take is we wouldn't start looking at any sort of development plan and approving anything to be built in this area until all of this grading and all that's all done. But before all this dirt is moved and that we have a new basis for what the floodplain is.
Well, we would look at what they've designed, what they're moving around, that where they're not impacting the floodplain. They could start working on preliminary drawings and design, but incrementally that won't happen until this work has occurred. So you wouldn't be able to approve future applications until this has happened.
I guess that's where my question was going. I mean, I'm almost looking for some sort of standard that someone approves that what was set out to be done here is done and done correctly before we'd start saying, now we can start building on it.
Yes, we will do that. And it could be a future condition on another application that says until this is met, you cannot proceed with the following.
Okay. I hear you saying that, sir, but I'm also, when I do these approvals now, I just want to get it in the record that that's what's going to happen. And I have one other point of clarification.
Go ahead, Councilmember.
The council suggested motion doesn't include the 3 conditions, but if I were to make a motion, I would include the 3 conditions?
Correct.
Yes, and we do have one more speaker before
Very good.
a motion, or maybe 2. Councilmember Wall.
Thank you. Over the past weeks and months, we've heard a few iterations of some of the concerns that were issued tonight. Did the staff hear anything new tonight that you have not heard before?
I'll let the community development team start, and then I can answer from a Public Works perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same issues that we've been addressing through the Planning Commission process and as well as tonight here with you. We've been talking with both the applicant and those neighboring property owners.
And both from what I have read and heard, it seems like the landowners are in fairly frequent contact with city staff with their questions.
That would be correct. We like to be responsive to them. So.
And so it would appear that what we have is a not necessarily a failure to communicate in any way, but a disagreement on here's what we believe is good and right so to do.
That's
You
your
can
assessment,
characterize it that
Councilman.
way.
Yeah, okay. And the city feels that the correct expertise from DNR, from the expert that Mr. Toynton has online for us, has sufficiently answered the questions for our own staff and being able to recommend that we move ahead.
Is that a question, council member?
Yeah,
Yeah.
is that
yep,
true?
We'll continue to work with, like I said, the other agencies and the design consultant and make sure that it meets all of our standards and specifications and any other permitting requirements.
Thank you.
Councilmember Miller.
Sure. And this could be a question for staff or the engineering team, but the specific issue that was raised about the depth of retention ponds and other excavation, can you address that? And is that worked through? Is it going below the standard water table?
What's occurring is there is a higher groundwater table out here. So when we look at the water quality treatment and the different capacity, we don't count anything below that normal groundwater level. So they have to exceed that, above that elevation, to make sure they have the appropriate storage and limit the conveyance.
So they would have to build up the grading then to dig down.
They need to be working outside of those elevations, and that's what goes into the computations and calculations.
So no approval would happen which allows them to dig below, as as Dr. Puffer mentioned.
They can dig below, but it would not count towards what they need to meet. So
I see.
it just would essentially be dead storage. It isn't benefiting them.
Okay, thank you. So it wouldn't count. Could staff or the engineering team talk about the assumptions, particularly with changing rainfall patterns in the hydrology models? How is this modeled looking forward? Or is it based on historic data or projected rainfall data?
It's based on the current rainfall charts, which have been changing, could change again in the future. So as you are aware, our stormwater team is working on a comprehensive surface water management plan that starts to get at what are other things we can be doing to think about sustainability and resiliency when it comes to stormwater and flooding. And so those sorts of best management practices will continue to happen. The DNR project to improve the stream is going to be beneficial in this case. So the team's always thinking about different ways to achieve the needs with the changing rainfall.
And could you, since you mentioned the updating the models in the broader stormwater management area, I believe that those are being done by section. Could you talk about where this, and I'm going to use the wrong term, but this section of our map and the project location within the drainage district or the stormwater management district falls? Like, has that model been updated? How does it interact with this project's timeline?
That isn't a model that's been updated.
Okay.
Those are updated by FEMA, and I don't know which phase this, at what point they would be updating the Cascade watershed.
Okay. And I guess last question, could somebody on staff go through the three conditions and talk about the timeline and the specific approval process of each of those conditions?
Yep, thank you for the question, Councilmember Miller. The three conditions are more or less related to what comes next. So the first one would be, obviously, they would need full approval for the grading plan before they can move any of the dirt. And so that would be the next step. And then
and who evaluates that? And
our Public Works team.
Public Works, okay.
I was forgetting the second one. And then the second one is any of the wetland impacts that they may or may not propose would have to be approved by the technical evaluation panel through the local government unit, which is Olmsted County. So if they want to do that, then they have to get that approval. If no approval, then they can't disturb those wetlands. And then lastly, a second floodplain development permit will be required for the actual building and structures and roads.
Okay. And I apologize, Council President, I do actually have one final question.
Yeah,
and I
go ahead.
promise.
They were all great questions, council member.
So under the condition, nothing can be approved that would cause a new net rise, correct? There was also a concern brought up about water quality. Are there any considerations of not worsening water quality, or how would the velocity of stormwater entry into the project with the prior stream restoration be considered in a net neutral or improvement kind of consideration?
That gets back to what I noted earlier as we think about no adverse impacts. So the water quality, the volumes need to be meet our MS4 permit. So that's all very clearly laid out such that we're not, again, adversely affecting downstream.
So it's not just the level.
Yeah,
It's
correct.
no other adverse impacts either.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilmember. Actually, two of your questions were my questions, so they were answered. Any further questions? Seeing none, is there a motion on this item?
I can make a motion.
Go ahead, Councilmember Palmer.
I'll make a motion to adopting a resolution approving conditional use permit number CD 2025-007 CUP by ML Group 1 LLC for the placement of excavated fill within the 100-year flood-prone sub-district encompasses a stormwater area improvement for the future development of a multifamily development project.
Do you want to cite the three
And
conditions?
the three conditions.
Second.
A motion made by Councilmember Palmer, seconded by Councilmember Keen. Any further discussion? Councilmember Palmer, go ahead.
The one thing that I will bring up is that now the Del Well project, which was the Niggin Farm, if you look at the map with the Cascade Creek, it's a straight run shot. Farm fields don't retain a lot of water, not to bang on ag, but this will be a huge improvement for this entire area. And the improvement we've already done at Meadow Lakes Golf Course has been already a huge improvement with the DNR. And if you look at that, how that meanders through, you can see how that helps with water quality. And I think this is important for people to realize that.
Councilmember Keen.
Yeah, again, I'm going to support this resolution tonight. I guess my comment's more for community development. I look at the full resolution as presented in our packet, page 249, with the conditions, with the therefores. Again, it's what I feel like I'm voting on. But what I don't care for the fact that we put in something for the future development of a multifamily housing. It's just not part of what we're voting on, and we really shouldn't have it in there. What we're doing, we're really doing a very tightly narrowed definition of a conditional use permit, and I'd rather not muddy the waters to say it has to do with some other project. So just for future consideration.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion passes 5-1 with Councilmember Miller voting nay. Moving on to G2, which is major land subdivision by Bigelow Homes LLC, to be known as Westbury First. Mr. McGill.
Thank you, Council Member, or Council President Schubring, members of the council. Good evening. My name is Desmond McGill. I'll be introducing this application for you. The applicant is requesting a major land subdivision on 35 acres of land that is zoned R2. The request is for 105 single-family lots to be known as Westbury First. The site is located just east of 60th Avenue Northwest and approximately 500 feet south of King Arthur Avenue. Presently, the site is undeveloped and is used for agricultural production. The overall area is encompassed by the subdivision plat is 68 acres in size. The 105 residential units and the Parkland site comprises phase one of the development, which is 35 acres in size. Approximately 33 acres on the south side of this site will be held for future development of a phase two of the project. This is represented as outlots B and C on the subject plat. The general development plan for this project was approved last March, consisting of 220 single-family lots, with lots generally being 55 feet in width and 120 feet in depth, and the 8-acre dedicated Parkland site. Connectivity index score on this is 1.55, which does meet the requirements of the UDC. This this phase of the development will extend two local streets, which are Lionheart and Gatehouse Drive, from the north and west sides, respectively. There will also be two local streets extended in the future as part of Phase 2, one to the east and one to the south, which will be stubbed and extended into the future development of the adjoining project, which is Highland Preserve. Phase 1 of Westbury has a total of 63 lots, which are just have a single point of access. Condition number 3 requires that a temporary fire access road be constructed through Phase 2 to provide a second point of access. Or alternatively, the developer can sprinkle all 63 of those units with a sprinkling system. The Development Review Committee and the Planning Commission are recommending approval of this application. Planning and Zoning Commission did unanimously recommend approval, subject to the 5 conditions present in the staff report. That concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. Is there a representative of the applicant here? Please step forward and identify yourself, and you have 10 minutes.
Good evening, Kyle Scove with WHKS. I'm representing the developer, Bigelow Homes. We are in agreement with all the conditions proposed, and I'm available to answer any questions. We are looking forward to this development, 105 affordable lots added to the community. So.
Thank you, and we'll call you up after the public hearing. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to be heard on this item, please step forward. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to be heard on this item, please step forward. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and invite Mr. Sko back up. Any comments? At this point, I'll ask my colleagues if they have questions. Councilmember Palmer.
Yeah, a question for community development, and this is kind of inquisitive question. Isn't the minimum lot size in this area 3,000 square feet?
It is.
And if my math is correct, 55 times 125 is 6,800 square feet.
That's correct.
And this being an infill project, I would think that you'd want smaller lots. I know you and I can't do anything about that, and that's the market that drives that.
Right.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions on this item? Is there a motion on this item?
I'll move to adopt a resolution approving major land subdivision CD 2026-001 plat by Bigelow Homes LLC to be known as Westbury First with 5 conditions, subdividing 35.4 acres into 105 residential lots, 4 outlots, and a dedicated city park land parcel.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Keen, and I didn't hear which of the two of you said that. You, Councilmember, and seconded by Councilmember Wall. Councilmember Keen?
No, again, I was involved in the neighborhood information meeting for this project. I did a little checking today, just looking at the connectivity indexes here with this idea that you do the connectivity indexes on the whole thing and then you build it in parts, so you don't have that all at the upfront. But it seems to hold together. I was worried about the one access point, and again, it was explained to me that that's a fire will call that out, and we'll get that resolved before it gets built. So with that, I'd be comfortable supporting this tonight.
Councilmember Wall?
I met Mr. Keen in the parking lot for this neighborhood information meeting. We came a little late, both coming from some other city obligations. And the people there seemed probably most concerned about traffic, but that would be true of any additional housing or business that one would add to the streets. We believe that Bigelow Homes is really very responsibly offering housing that will cater especially to young families in an area that is exploding with young families, and I'm very happy to support the project.
Councilmember Miller.
Yeah, I'll just say I do plan to support this, but in the broader conversation, I know we're talking about connectivity and access, and the way I understand that, and Mr. Wall's point is well taken, that people are concerned about traffic impacts, because it does feel like their only access option is likely going to be driving. So as we're talking about families and other people living in the community, we've heard about the importance of transit. I do worry about a development pattern that doesn't consider alternate access. We're going through a project this year to reconnect neighborhoods south on 18th Avenue Southwest. We've talked about disconnected parcels, and I do worry that in this current iteration, we're creating more disconnected parcel problems if we consider travel modes beyond just owning a vehicle. So again, I look forward to having a bigger discussion about this. I look forward to Public Works bringing a presentation later this spring, but I do share the concern about how we're growing and what options we're providing to families when we know that transportation costs are the second highest after housing costs, and thinking about those two things together. So I'll just make that point, but do plan to support this tonight because this is a policy that we've set forth.
Seeing no other questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes. Moving on to our reports and recommendations, we have H1, which is Professional Services Contract Amendment for Bolton and Menk. And this was pulled by Councilmember Wall. Councilmember Wall.
Thank you. I have pulled this for the opportunity to more explore the reallocation of some funding within this project and to really, it provides an update for the community as to how we are progressing on the 6th Street project.
Thank you. Mr. Sampson Brown, do you want to talk about the item?
Good evening, Council President, council members. We're here tonight requesting your authorization of a contract amendment with Bolton and Menk in the amount of $981,449 for the 6th Street Bridge project. The 6th Street Bridge project, bridge, road safety, and riverfront improvement projects will construct a bridge to improve access to neighborhoods, the riverfront, and key destinations downtown, provide equitable transportation access with walking and biking infrastructure being added, implement traffic calming and other safety improvements to manage traffic and speeding using a complete streets design on 6th Street Southeast, and improve the Zumbro River access while maintaining flood protection, along with creating a new connection to link BRT's eastern terminus. As of this evening, the project is approaching 90% completion of design plans. We are actively submitting permits required for the project, going to U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and FEMA. In fact, the one FEMA, I believe, was submitted earlier today. We are also working with Canadian Pacific Kansas City Railroad to obtain permitting for the new bridge adjacent to their rail spur, along with getting design approval from them and negotiating a construction agreement and obtaining needed right-of-way easements on CPKC-owned property. And we're also moving through the right-of-way acquisition process needed for the project, which is about 80% complete as of this month. The amendment in question primarily reflects three primary activities. Additional preliminary design work needed. It's been a combination of bridge design options being analyzed, hydraulic modeling to see if those options can be permitted, along with understanding regulatory requirements, and also looking at different concepts. So for instance, the original concept called for a clear span bridge. After getting into the design and doing the math and understanding the hydraulics of the floodway through this area of the project, clear span was not possible due to the taller depth of the beams that would be required, which created an impediment to the river flowing underneath. Therefore, we had to add piers. As we add piers in the river, that's a different form of water blockage and needed to work through several design iterations to get to a point where those were satisfactory to submit permits on. The second area was just refinement. The initial scope of the project, again, it happened in 2023. Some areas were unknown in terms of how much environmental contamination investigation may be needed adjacent to the AMPI site. We've also got into things like requesting a variance from MnDOT in order to save trees and reduce the total clear zone width so that those trees can remain adjacent to the multi-use trail through the Slatterly Park neighborhood. And things like wetland delineations, which are based on area of impact, which isn't really determined until we get through the preliminary design phase. then also the third area of additional work effort involves just public engagement. We did multiple rounds of public engagement, which was not originally contemplated by the base contract agreement. And through that work, we've added enhancements such as changes to the Riverside School elementary school drop-off sequencing and location. We added streetscaping elements along the street area, rest areas, and small landscape nodes to beautify the corridor. And then we detailed some riverfront enhancements. So while it's a rather larger number for a contract amendment, when you compare the total estimated cost of construction, which is currently in the magnitude of 28 to 29 million, the design fee represents about 13.5% of the projected construction budget, which is within typical industry standards of 12 to 18% for projects of this level of complexity that include high-quality public spaces and also regulatory and permitting complexity. In a desire for maximum transparency about the numbers involved, we've asked Bolton and Mink and the multiple city staff, including help from the Public Works Department, negotiated over a period of almost 2 months with Bolton and Mink to prepare an 11-page contract amendment to provide the maximum amount of detail regarding each area of effort that is needed to complete the design and finalize the project and prepare bid documents for later this summer. With that, I'd be happy to answer any additional questions.
Councilmember Wall.
Thank you, Mr. Sampson Brown, and thank you and to Ms. Steinhauser for extra information today. This is a project, like all projects that have a finite number of dollars assigned to it. I think this one's $36.5 million, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And my concern in initially reading the item is by assigning an extra $1 million or so to the little more than $3 million that was assigned to project design initially, that by necessity we take $1 million away from perhaps construction. Mm-hmm. And I think the whole council wants the very best project possible and have every dollar possible to pour into the project to be able to deliver the really nice renderings and the amenities that we saw, that we've seen over years now, lots of years. How is the staff working to ensure through value engineering that even if we assign this extra $1 million to design, that we will eventuate this project that really will be a jewel for entry into downtown and to further invigorate the neighborhood?
Ms. Steinhauser, were you going to answer? Or I got a kind of a nod from Ms. Steinhauser, so.
Okay, I'll start. Perhaps Ms. Steinhauser may add. So, Councilmember Wall, going back 6 to 9 months, which is really the time period where we started those iterations on what the bridge might look like. We've met weekly as a staff, bi-weekly with the consulting team, again, to evolve the project. We've always had at our forefront the primary outcomes of the project. We had a series of listening sessions with community members, so we've also adjusted our focus. But in terms of value engineering, the prioritization always went to what caused the project to be created first, what were we hearing from neighborhood members as most important, residents of the public, and we've really just, while we've scaled back perhaps, for instance, landscaping, we don't have as many trees and bushes as we initially hoped to have on this project, but we still have them because beautification and enhancements along the waterfront was an important aspect of the project. So again, we just work through it in an iterative process, but we always go back to why did this project start and make sure we're not missing any pieces.
Thank you, Mr. Sampson Brown. Ms. Steinhauser?
Sure. Thank you, Council President Schubring and members of the council for the question. The only other thing that I would add to Mr. Sampson Brown's comments are, as part of that due diligence and value engineering, a lot of what we did in terms of bringing costs down were around means and methods. For example, on landscaping, the means and methods might be seeding instead of potted plants, which are a fraction of the cost, right? Those are the ways in which we approached value engineering so we could retain, the original intent delivering a design that has the elements that Mr. Sampson Brown spoke of, and which came out loud and clear through the engagement, the additional engagement we did with the neighbors. When we bring it forward from a bidding perspective, it will, I think you'll find that the bid documents will reflect that. Some may live as an ad alternate just because of the bidding climate that we're in, so that we aren't putting ourselves in a situation where we have to completely reject all bids, but rather we can be judicious in continuing to bring the project forward in a way that was envisioned in the small area plan.
Thank you. Any further questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to authorize a contract amendment with Bolton and Menk in the amount of $981,449 for the 6th Street Bridge Neighborhood Safety and Riverfront Improvement Project, project number J7919.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Keen, seconded by Councilmember Palmer. Councilmember Keen?
Yeah, I appreciate Councilmember Wall bringing this up. I think whenever I see, that sort of thing, some of them I almost feel are inevitable as you go through the regulatory thing. In some of the discussion today, after Councilmember Wall brought this up, I saw some, I thought it was important sort of comments. One is that value engineering has been applied on these sort of projects, and that's become a bad word for me. It's where you start out with a project that has all these cool things, and then you take them out near the end. And I think that's what we have to protect from happening. But in that same thing, there was a thing: the structural integrity, the safety, the hydraulic performance, and the long-term viability of the bridge are not being reduced in any way. And I think that was the nature of you pulling this, is to say, let's make sure we keep our eye on the prize. So I appreciate that.
Any further comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to our ordinance first readings. Go ahead, Mr. Spindler Craig.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item J1, an ordinance creating and enacting Chapter 5-24 of Title 5 of the Rochester Code of Ordinances relating to film permits. Moving on to item J2, an ordinance rezoning approximately 13 acres of land located west of Highway 63 and north of 60th Street Southwest, identified by PIN number 045418, from AG Agriculture to R1 Mixed Use Single Family, and amending ordinance number 4478, known as the Unified Development Code of the City of Rochester, Minnesota. Moving on to a second reading, item K1, an ordinance rezoning approximately 2.04 acres of land located at the southwest corner of East Center Street and 6th Avenue Southeast, identified by PIN numbers 026571 through 026576 and 026578 through 026583 and 026585, from R2X, low-density residential infill, to R4, high-density residential, and amending ordinance number 4478, known as the Unified Development Code of the City of Rochester, Minnesota.
Move approval.
Motion made by Councilmember Keen.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Wall. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes. Moving on to other business, Councilmember Palmer has two items: the county land use plan amendment issue, which was heard by the county last evening, and tax increment financing policy. Go ahead, Councilmember.
Thank you, sir. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the Community Development Department and all the people who worked with them, with the county on the LUPA with the county. Last night we had a meeting, and it was an interesting meeting, and it has been continued so the city can work with the developer. It's an exciting time for us, and I enjoyed watching the cooperation with the township and the county last night, and it's been great to see that we're working together to achieve something I think that in the long run will be great. As interim development comes around, and this is one of the projects that will have interim development, it's an interesting concept. We have two of them already in Rochester, one of them off of 48th Street. But again, it's great to see how we're cooperating with our township people. I sat next to John Johnson, who has been a township officer at Haverhill for 18 years. And he looks forward to working with our staff on this, with the developer.
Thank you,
Enough said there.
Councilmember.
And then the second one is there's a need for us to look at our TIF policy and have it come back to the city council sooner than later. Development just can't wait until, I think, May or June. The need for attainable housing is great right now. And right now, we're adding about 20% of the cost to an apartment, which translates into about $200 more a month. I don't want to really get into the facts right here, but I do really want to get us as a council to look at our TIF policy and see what we can do. So hope, Ms. Helms, that we can get this on our agenda sooner than later, because time is money.
Ms. Helms, go ahead.
Council President, council members, you did approve a contract during your last Economic Development Authority meeting that talks about getting things done and bringing something to you in June. And there's a lot of important information that we need to go into that. So I believe you also received an email from staff explaining that the current request falls outside of the TIF policy that you've adopted. So if you want to change the TIF policy, that would be up to you. But I would be a little bit concerned that if we aren't able to get the valuable information from the consultant that we've contracted with, that might not be money well spent, and that you might not be fully informed on what your TIF policy changes might be. And with that, I would ask if Josh Johnson has any other information.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, President and council members. Yeah, I would just add that we're also going through an Urban 3 analysis, which also has a TIF component in it, which will provide additional useful information to help, help with our recommendations for the TIF policy moving forward.
Councilmember Keene.
Yeah, again, I think I know the precise project that Councilmember Palmer is talking about, and I just want to be a little clear here. There's two different things going on here. One is, does this project meet the standard for TIF through our policy? And then the second thing is, should we waive one of the requirements of getting TIF? And they're two different things. Before we get into, and should we waive something, it's my understanding that this project hasn't reached the standard yet where the staff would say, hey, based on what we have lined up for TIF, whether it be affordable housing or blighting, whatever those things are, this project hasn't met it. So just to jump into the idea that we need to change what the policy is, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. I think there's two different problems here. One is, does this project meet the standard that we've set up for ourselves? And then secondly, is there something about our process, our policy and our requirements that is hurting the ability to build affordable housing in Rochester? I think they're two unique topics.
Thank you, Councilmember Keene, and you explain that exactly how I look at the issue as well. There's a project out there that has its needs, but there is our policy, and I think they need to be looked at separately. If the project gets to us, then we may look at that exemption. But I think the policy itself is on a road. Looks like we're going to look at it in June. Is it?
Council President, that's correct. It's scheduled for June 22nd at the moment.
So, and I have not heard that it needs to be expedited. Is Councilmember Palmer?
Well, and don't jump to a conclusion. I'm not looking at a project. What I'm looking at is an overall policy in the policy that we have, and how does it help attain affordable housing for us, or attainable housing for us? Not because if you just look at a project, you don't get good decisions. But if you look at the overall policy, the problem what I'm having is that 5 months from now we're going to look at this, and that's a long period of time. And we have other developers who are going to be coming to town going, oh, I can't do this. But if you have a policy that we've looked at, maybe it'll be a 4-3 vote, maybe a 3-4 vote. But I think that we need to take the time to look at it as a council and make a wise decision.
Councilmember Miller.
Yeah, I'll just say I appreciate the discussion. I also had the opportunity to meet with community development. It was a very productive discussion. And I would not want to expedite this TIF review process ahead of the existing projects that we've contracted to have a more thorough, involved discussion. And so I appreciate the urgency of individual projects. And yes, I wish it could happen sooner, but I would much rather have a comprehensive discussion with all of the right information and considerations and not change our TIF policy and then change it again. So I think that unpredictability is not good governance either.
Any other comments? Councilmember Keen.
A different topic, but just
Is this a new other business?
it's an other. Yeah.
Very good, Councilmember.
I didn't know of it. It didn't strike me to do this at the beginning, but I didn't just change my seat for the fun of it. I wanted to just.
Can I just say something about other business? I think I know our administration really appreciates when other business comes up. I think we can be flexible with other business. I think if you know you're going to bring other business up and give us a heads up, that's appreciated as well.
Yeah. I was just going to say the seating arrangement, this wasn't, I just decided to move to a different seat. Councilmember Doring was going to take the end there, so, because he's using a wheelchair right now and there's better accessibility for him. And we'll just do that switch until we don't need to do it anymore.
Sounds good. Thanks for pointing that out. Seeing no other business, is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Councilmember Fredericks,
Second.
second by Councilmember Wall. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. We are adjourned. I said.